Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Well, and thank you, everybody, for being here on Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we're going to do something today that we don't normally do a lot of, and that's because it's hard to find somebody who's as good as our guest is at what he does. And part of that is protecting your financial wealth, helping you grow your financial wealth, and doing all of the financial things that a certified public or that a certified financial planner can do for you, especially when in this day and age, we don't really know exactly what's going on. And at the same time, we've got a generation of baby boomers that are leaving the planet. And sometimes they're leaving some wealth behind to somebody who may not have ever had any wealth and has absolutely no idea where to take this inheritance that they've got and what to do with it to make sense. And so having a financial planner can really help you understand and to keep it so that you don't waste your money, because you know one of the things that is true, I think, and I'll ask Rick here in a minute, is that a lot of people who have grown up and really didn't have any money, and then suddenly they get this windfall of, I don't know, $500,000. And suddenly it's like, woohoo, I get to buy a new car and I get to go do this and I get to go on trips and I get to go here. And then 3 or 4 years later, it's gone and they're back to where they were. It can be a stressful situation. So Rick Salmeron is here. Rick, how are you?
I'm blessed, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're blessed because, and so am I. There are, it's interesting. I have, and that last situation is one that I found myself in several years ago. And so it was a real shock to learn that you got to figure out what you're going to do. And a lot of times you have no earthly idea what it is if you haven't had resources to invest in that kind of stuff. But do you find that that's a big part of your practice, or is that just kind of a little part because the rest of it is people that have been creating wealth for a period of time?
Yeah, I've been in the business now for 34 years, and these life events. I'm just getting started. I agree. I'm just still learning the trade. So in that very short, brief period of time, yeah, there have been a few life events like that have occurred, but it's certainly on the exterior. This is not something that happens all the time. People receive an inheritance from a family member or a lottery or whatever the case may be, but definitely certain life events like that one, a sudden money event, is one that could easily rattle an individual or a household. It could be a mix of emotions of, oh my God, in many different directions, like, oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God, this has never happened to me before. Oh my God, what do I do right now? Right. So there's a mix of perhaps glee and shock and amazement and so on. So what I'm getting at is when we mix money with emotions, my experience has been that many things don't go very well. So we need to be careful about that kind of mix. It's okay to feel the emotions. You have to, because you're human. It's totally fine. But we need to be very careful on acting on those emotions. And this is where we can talk, money. This entire episode is completely fine. And I'll just insert a brief pitch. This is where an advisor can really help out a person. They're doing their best, at least they should do the best to remove as much emotion as possible, so that the $500,000 or whatever the windfall is does not evaporate like a jug of water in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
And I have to laugh because a certified financial planner like you can help us figure out the tax implications of the things that we do. Because the first thing that happens is, as an example, you win $1 million lottery. Well, you know what? You get 600,000. It's like, but I won $1 million. No, I'm sorry. The government takes the rest. Um, and
There are
so
more than one winner.
that's exactly right. So we, as most people, don't have this kind of wealth now. But on the other side, there are also people that that you also work with a lot that are highly successful, and they're so successful that they're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week to maintain that success. And so they don't have the physical time or the study time to be able to go in depth into what it takes to manage your portfolio and to make it grow, and to watch out for all the minefields that are out there, because there be a plenty of minefields.
Yeah. There's that. There's also opportunities too that it's hard to see when you're living life and so on. So yeah, I do work with a lot of successful people. They're very good at what they do. They generate great income. For example, in my view, what I see is that financial independence is a combination of two things. It's a pretty simple sum. It's one piece plus another. That one piece is income. And many people have landed on, hey, I know how to generate great income. I'm making good money. I'm making good salary. I'm making good revenue in my business. But the other part is, where do I put that money? Well, I know lots of people, okay, that make great income, yet they take that income and they put in some pretty stupid places. And the end result of that is a zero many times. So it's one thing to make the income, and that's necessary and that's needed, but it's also very important if a person has a goal or an objective of, I would like to grow my wealth so that I can grow my life and become financially independent one day, whatever that might mean to that person, to make sure that that money is in the right places, headed in the direction of their future, not anybody else's future.
It is amazing how many instruments, I think that's what you call it, instruments that are out there for you to make money, and be it in the stock market, or one of my favorite ones that I would never invest in is cryptocurrency, and stuff, because I don't know what it's based on, and it's all anyway. So we'll get into all that, but I want to find out, how did you start down this road of being a certified financial planner, and what really motivates you to do this? I know helping people motivates you a great deal.
For sure. So I'll answer those two questions here in a succinct story. I started in this business, if you really want to know the honest truth, when I was 8 years old. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City. It was a Saturday morning, and I was having breakfast at the kitchen table, and my mother approaches me, and she places her hand on my left shoulder, and she says, "Rick, today is going to be a very special day for you. I've got an idea." And I asked her, "What was it?" She said, "Today we're going to go to a place called a savings and loan, and we're going to open up a savings account for you." I still didn't really know what that meant. So I asked her, "What does that mean?" "Well, you see, honey," she replied, "if you let them keep your money, they will pay you money for keeping your money." Still wondering, I didn't quite get it, but what was good enough for my mom was good enough for me. So I dropped my spoon and my Fruit Loops. We went to the car. We drove to the savings and loan, and I proceeded to empty my pockets with several coins, weeks and weeks worth of allowance, spinning on the counter, $10. She then matched that with her own $10. And so I opened my first savings account with $20. It was not, Kevin, until 90 days later, I got my first statement in the mail, and that $20 grew to $20.15. I couldn't believe it. You mean all I have to do is like just let it sit there and I don't need to worry about anything, and starts to go up, that flipped on a switch inside of me. And I can recite this story as if it happened last weekend because I remember that day. And from that moment, it just became an inherent, something built in my DNA moment. I started to behave in a manner that was consistent with saving and accumulating and investing. I bought my first house at age 22. I invested in my first stock at age 18. I had one corporate America job straight out of college. I maxed out on the 401k before I did anything else. I figured out how to live off of what was left over, right? So all of these automatic things were natural. When I left corporate America, I wanted to be my own boss, my own business, entrepreneur. What could I do? And I noticed this pattern of behavior going way back to that 8-year-old boy in Oklahoma City. And I said, this is easy for me. I'll bet you these are secrets for others. So I decided to become an advisor in 1990. And I opened my own firm in 2001. And here I am now, as independent as can be, helping guide people down what can be a very dark, murky path, with them being the client holding the small flashlight in their hand, and I'm here shining spotlights in other areas that they're not able to see, so they can craft that journey that's important to them. So that's how I got in the business a long time ago.
Well, congratulations on what you do, because you can help people. See, money is not taught in school. They don't teach you how to balance a checkbook. They don't teach you how compound interest works. They don't teach you any of those things that could be helpful. And so you get out in the world and you hear people saying, and I heard this all the way back when I was 21, if you take $50 a month and you take that $50 and you put it in the bank before you even look at it, before you even see it, over a period of time, it'll grow into $1 million. And but most people go, $50, that's not, and I need that $50 to go to the movies. And so they don't do it. So it's really helpful for them to get educated in it. Where do you think we are educationally as far as financial security and financial education is?
I don't think we're really good. I don't know what the statistics are, but we sure could be far smarter about our money and behaving with our money than we are today. I guess that's what allows financial advisors to stay in business, right? But in the advent of information and information technology and social media, we're being blizzarded, if that is a verb, by data and facts in quotes and silver bullets and shiny objects that appear to be, this is the way. This is the way for me to succeed and to build my pyramid in a week's time or something of that nature. And it becomes a very polluted atmosphere after a while. And we feel like, well, there must be something better than the old way of doing things, the $50 a month, the $100 a month, these dull, boring, unsexy patterns of behavior that do not grab headlines. Those don't feel like the right solution. And in many cases, they are the right solution for a lot of people. So the education part is tough, and it always has to be replenished. You have to, like practicing a foreign language, you'll get rusty if you don't practice it often. If this is not something that you do day in and day out, you're busy with your life, this part of your life is extremely important. So being in tune and being, dare I say, intimate with your money is very critical to lead and sustain a very happy, healthy, joyful life.
Boy, no kidding. When I got married and I said to my wife, I said, I'm working and you're working a little bit, and that's great. Would you like to manage the business or the bills and make sure that, we get, and she said, great, I'll do that. And then over the period of a couple of months, we started getting late notices and did not pay notices. And she said, I didn't see that. So it was like, oh, You did not grow up, and her dad was an accountant. You did not grow up learning about money and how to deal with it and all of that. So I ended up having to take it over. Not that I was all that much better at it, mind you, but at least we didn't have somebody want to take away our house. By the way, we're talking with Rick Salmeron. He is a certified financial planner. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about the pitfalls of inheritance and we're going to cover it all. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Are you looking for a powerful way to grow your brand while making a real difference? Well, Positive Talk is the perfect platform to align your message with inspiration, hope, and meaningful conversations. By sponsoring Positive Talk, your brand will reach an engaged audience that values positivity and connection. People who want to support companies that share their values. Take this opportunity to showcase your business in a space that uplifts, inspires, and creates lasting impact. Don't wait. Email me, Kevin@kmmedia.pro today to learn how you can partner with us and spread positivity while growing your brand. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We've got a unique subject today, but it's a very, 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 did I say very important topic? Because you could do things like, one of my favorite stories of my life was I was a waiter at Denny's, and this is in 1979. And I'm standing there at the counter, and I just poured a customer a cup of coffee, which cost 75 cents. And they're talking to each other, and I'm talking to them, and they're saying, there is this new place, believe it or not, they're charging $1.50 for a cup of coffee. Who's going to pay $1.50 for a cup of coffee when you can come here and get it for 75 cents? And the other guy said, yeah, I heard about that company. Aren't they called, Starbucks? That's who they are. And the other guy said, they're going to fold in a week. Well, obviously, had he invested at that time in a few shares, he would have never had to work again. That's how we go. That's how we roll. Yep. But at the same time, those don't happen very often, do they?
No, they don't happen very often, but they happen all the time at the same time. It's kind of odd when people wonder, gosh, Starbucks, I wish I would have, or gosh, NVIDIA, I wish I would have, or gosh, Apple Computer, I wish I would have. I'm here to say today, right now, as we speak, there's another Starbucks waiting. There's another Apple Computer waiting. There's another Google waiting. So when people, and I get that, I'm the same way. I'm human, and I say to myself, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to put $1,000 in Apple decades ago and look where I'd be today? Well, the opportunity is there today also. We just don't know where it is. We just don't know where it is. To find that new Apple, to find that new Google, to find that new NVIDIA is extremely, extremely hard, if not impossible. So to attempt to do that would be easier to find the half of a needle in the haystack, not the full needle. But it's true to consider that there is another brand new, amazing company out there that's going to go out the stratosphere, right? There has to be one, right? We just don't know what it is. And we'll know that in 5 years' time. We'll know that in 10 years' time, which brings me kind of full circle for people who are tempted to want to find that new Apple or that NVIDIA or whatever. Don't waste your time. You're not going to find it will mean stepping up to the plate and striking out hundreds of thousands of times. It's just not going to happen. You're easier putting all your chips on red and spinning the wheel. And we know how risky that can be.
Well, do you remember when, what was it? PlayStation not PlayStation, but the store that does video game stuff. And
GameStop. Yeah.
That's it, GameStop.
Yeah.
And they had a hiccup, or there was a financial thing that they were low, and then they went through the roof, and then they came back down. And if you caught them at the right place, well, my son came to me and he said, Dad, I know how I'm going to retire. He's in the military. I know how I'm going to retire. AMC is artificially low at $15 a share. Now, I know that there's going to be the same thing that happened to that other company is going to happen to this one. And it's going to go up to several $100s a share. And so I bought into it, and at like 15, and it's going to go up for exponentially, and I'm going to then sell when it's high, and then I'm going to be able to retire. And they said, well, he seems like a smart kid. I'll invest a little bit. So I invested $100 in that. That $100 is now worth $6. Because that was all wrong, and because it wasn't thoroughly vetted and figured out. And they're, by the way, on their way, I think, to total collapse. But that's just me. But in the event, those sorts of people are out there all the time, and they're trying to get you to do stuff that may not have any bearance on reality.
Yeah, this goes back to what we mentioned earlier about education. In my view, is that we're again blizzarded by angles of notifications and alerts on our phone and breaking news and so on. And when we spend energy on that, when that soaks into our bodies and in literally our nervous system, then we want to react to that. We feel like, oh, we need to do something. We need to zig or zag. And looking back, most everyone can say, in my opinion, when I tried to zig, it zagged. Or when I tried to zag, it zigged. The markets always, short term, have a way to surprise you. They will always be able to surprise you short term. Now, the markets, in my view, are a very dependable long-term wealth accumulation machine. But you can take the markets in one of two directions. You can either use it as a long-term wealth accumulation machine, as an overall part of your entire picture, or you can use it as a casino, very short term, and it will act that way as a casino, very short term. When a person attempts to figure out in day one and what's going to happen in day 5 and so on, no one's been able to land that magic formula to be able to predict the short-term direction of markets. It's just not there.
Well, and it's all variable about, there's a lot of fear involved. There's a lot of over exuberance involved. There's a lot of, and my point there is it's all emotional.
Yes.
Rather than hard, cold facts. This is what it did 2 years ago. This is what it did last year. This is what it's going to do this year. That kind of thing. And that's the type of place where you tell me. I'm sure, as a certified financial planner, that you make sure that the investments you have and are, after interviewing the people, because they're different if you're 25 or if you're 40 or if you're 65. They're completely different ideas. So I know that you interview people and then put that together for the appropriate risk for their age group. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Goldilocks had 3 choices when she entered the house: hot, cold, or just right. And everyone's got their just right. I realize and recognize that many people have very similar goals and objectives in life where they want to find themselves in 10 years or 20 years or whatever. But everyone that I speak with, everyone that I work with, is starting from their own unique point A. Everyone's situation is as unique as their fingerprint. And it's a lot more than just how much money I make or how much I have in the bank. A lot of it is driven by a person's belief systems in money, their financial, their family dynamics, where they live, how they live, what kind of standard of living do they want to continue. These are just a couple of the facets that are part of the overall mix to determine the dynamics of a household situation before really any kind of guidance is considered, let alone any types of instruments, for that matter, are considered too. So everyone's got their own unique shoe size. It's a matter of finding what shoe is going to fit well.
That is an important aspect of it, because a lot of people have no earthly idea how they're going to manage it. And isn't it true that there are some people in our planet that don't believe that they are entitled to wealth, and so when it happens to them, they don't think that it's true, and they don't protect it, and then they end up right back to where they were. That happens in lotto winnings a lot, from what I hear.
Yes. I call it it's not really not a phenomenon. This is my theory, and I believe this is to be true. It's always strange to me when I read about, say, a person in winning a lottery, whatever, $75 million, $325 million, or that superstar athlete who signs the $55 million 5-year contract or what have you in a professional sports team. And then later you find that person that just received the lottery or the big time wealth due to the sudden money is bankrupt. How could ESPN's 30 for 30 so easily come up with the documentary called Broke that showcased very famous, accomplished professional athletes who have got very little money to their name these days? Why is that? Many people have asked themselves that question, me included. And I do believe there's a lot to be said about how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their own self-esteem, and do I really deserve this? So when I feel like I don't deserve money or I don't deserve wealth, and now here comes a big fat check for $25 million, most people would say, I'm set for life. Yet when it comes to a person who has that belief system about themselves, and then 6 years later, they're bankrupt, how does that happen? And I really think a lot of it has to do with how they felt like they deserved that windfall or not. And when if you don't feel like you deserve it, and yet here still comes the money, it's really easy for me, if I don't really adore myself and my future, to waste that money and get it out of my life because it's not supposed to be a part of me. Odd, but true.
Have you ever watched, I'm sure you have, because it's become a really big deal, the NFL draft?
I have in the past. I'm not a religious watcher of it, but yes.
Well, because the last year, every year I have to laugh, because nowadays, when a first pick of the draft, they have a huge windfall. It's like they're going to sign a 5-year contract and it's going to be worth 55, 65, $75 million. And I have to laugh because they always show when the person is getting getting drafted, they always show them at another site and with their family and friends and all of that. And I keep on thinking, it's like, it's not like we're so happy for you that you're going to be set for life and your children are going to be set for life. It's part of the, I'm his buddy, I'm his friend, he's going to take care of me, and so I'm good. And so it becomes leeches upon other people that are going to try and take advantage of him. It's so sad.
There's that part too. I don't blame just the individual exclusively, the lottery or the high contract or whatever. They may be responsible people with money. However, when the sudden money event occurs, gosh, it's kind of interesting how, if it were happening to me, how my circle of friends expands in a moment.
In a huge way.
In a huge way. In a huge way. And now I'm starting to feel pressures, depending again about the person that I am. Am I going to be feeling pressures to, I kind of like this feeling, but that means I need to support all these new friends, or are these friends really in my best interests? And it becomes a very hard, challenging period of time.
That is the person who really needs a certified financial planner, because you can, when your friend comes to you and says, you've got $30 million in the bank. All I need is $15,000 for the car.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could get a car for less than 15,000, maybe. I don't know anymore, but then they need somebody to put the brakes on and say, no, have you thought about this? And don't waste your money on that, because it's not going to work. Again, by the way, we're talking with Rick Salmeron, and he's a certified financial planner. When we come back from this break, we are going to talk to him about all the things that he can do for you, so that when you get to be like my age, you don't have to worry about going to food banks or the soup kitchen to live your life, and you can live according to how you would like to. And he can help you with that. We need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk. I hope you're enjoying this episode, because we don't often get to talk about finances, because it scares everybody. But I did want to mention that commercial, which I play at the bottom of every hour of every show that I do. And the reason I do that is because I think it's a crime that there are 4 million kids in the United States that are going hungry every night. We need to fix that. We can. If we work at it, we really can fix it. And even given the situation that's going on today, we need to. That's just terrible. Rick Salmeron, it's Salm or something. Salmeron is with us. He's a certified financial planner, and I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, because you literally made my financial planner made me a lot of money based upon my inheritance, and allows me to do this using some of that money. Good. And to still have some money.
Good.
So
Excellent.
I want to thank you guys.
You're welcome. I received that. Thank you. Thank back at you.
It is so important. And tell us all the things that you can do, because especially when you get to be on a fixed income. I live in a 55 plus mobile home community, and there are people who have been retired for 15, 20 years. The rents keep going up. The costs keep going up. Go get a dozen eggs today. I dare you, if you can find them. And all the things that are going on. And there are people that all they do is sit in their house all day and watch TV, because they can't go anywhere. They can't spend the money. And I would hate to see people get in that situation. And you can help them. How?
I can help them because if they're making money, they're collecting an income. It's vital, as I mentioned earlier in the show, to determine where are the best places to put that money moving forward. Everyone's got limited assets. They've got limited income. Some have got higher income than others, but we don't want to be digging holes with that money. We want to be creating and building, whether it's a small amount or a larger amount. We want to be creating positive momentum with our money, because the way to do that is to make smart decisions with that money. It's very little to do with investment selection, although that is not to be ignored, Kevin. That is important. But more importantly than the actual where do I place my money, it's the behavior after that. The behavior after that. I want to say that twice, because again, I can make great money, I can make a little bit of money or something in between, but if I behave poorly with that money, then I am creating my own pool of quicksand that I will be sitting in. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen for anybody. I want instead for people to be on a solid foundation. I want to be on a solid foundation so they can be building on top of that. And how you do that is largely because of the behavior, the actions that you take, or the actions that you do not take. So as a financial advisor, if this makes me different, yes, the investment selection, the actual instruments are very important. The independent edge that I bring to the table is also very important. But really, most important is how the person behaves. Because every dollar that we earn, every dollar that comes into the bank account, every dollar that comes in with the paycheck or from Social Security or the windfall or whatever, they're really like grains of sand. And it's up for us to determine how we're going to use those grains of sand, building a great, great, beautiful sandcastle or a very dull, boring mound. Which is it going to be? It's really hard for people to know where are the best places to place my grains of sand. And it's very complicated. I mean, it is. This is a very important, vital part of all of our lives, right? And money by itself doesn't do any good. We don't make money and just shine it up with Windex and put it on the shelf and look at it. We use it to create a life. That's what it's for. And it supports great health. It supports great relationships, professionally and personally. It allows us to support the charitable causes that are near and dear to our heart. It allows us to create an amazing business if we want to. That's what it's for. And when we're covering those areas of our lives in a very powerful, strong fashion, then that leads to a great life. That's why it's important for me to help people guide them down the path that they want and to use those grains of sand, that tool called money, as best and as efficiently as possible.
You know, apparently I've done a really bad job. I have a relative, I won't name him, because when he was younger, well, first of all, when he got out of high school, he and his girlfriend moved in together. She had a $50,000 stipend because she was a tribal member of a very successful tribe in the Northwest. And so they took this money, and in 2 years it was gone. 50 grand. It was gone. And so he lived poor, paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not paycheck. There were more than many times when I would get a call saying, you know, I don't have any money to buy lunch this week. So I would send him money. And my firm belief was that it didn't matter how much money he made. He would always be living paycheck to paycheck. I don't know why that is. It's a crazy thing, because now he's a professional in his field. His wife is a professional in her field. They make six figures plus, and they're still poor. And they're still poor because of what the expense of the toys got bigger and stuff. How do you help someone like that?
If you have a bucket that has holes in it, don't expect it to keep the water if you're pouring water inside. How I could help people like that is really just being frank and point blank. What's going on here? That's an example of, would I take the palm of my hand and, slap him back and forth? No, not literally, but metaphorically, perhaps I would. And that's the kind of medicine that people like that might need. Because who wants to be in that situation forever? It's not a really good feeling to know and realize when you stare in the mirror, gosh, if someone writes me a check and gives me $100,000 of money that's going to be gone in 2 years, that's not a really good situation to be in. Something's wrong there. Something's fundamentally wrong.
And I hope that he'll hear this and call you, because he really needs somebody, because he won't listen to me, because I'm too close, and he tells me I'm way too frugal. I got 2 pairs of shoes. That's how many pairs of shoes can you wear at one time, would be my argument.
It all comes down to values, and I'm not here to place judgment on anyone. I know people who have got not 2 but 3 closets worth of shoes, yet they can afford it, and it's their choice to spend their money in that direction, and I'm not going to pass judgment on that. However, if that person with the 3 closets of shoes also said, I can't buy lunch tomorrow, something's wrong there. Something's wrong. We've got a mismatch on the value system of life here, and maybe I can do what I can as a financial advisor, but I think there's something deeper than that in that hypothetical person that I'm describing, right? But it comes down to that bucket. Why are there holes? Are the holes just really easy fixes of holes, or is there something more deeper inside them that they do not believe about themselves as a person that is creating the holes, that's creating the leaks? And this is kind of a personal development angle, okay, that if I don't like myself as a person, if I don't love myself as a person, I may not be making great decisions about myself. When I do love myself as a person, when I have a very high self-esteem of myself, high self-estimate of myself, I care about my future. I will make decisions and take actions that are consistent with someone who really, really likes themselves and really, really values themselves. If I buy a $100,000 Mercedes Benz, for example, I'm going to have the urge to treat that car right. I want to make sure that it's washed and taken care of. I don't want it to deteriorate in a short period of time. I don't want it to wither away, because I care about it. Exactly. And when I care about me as a person, and I'm making income or I'm receiving money, then the same should apply. I want to be careful about how I'm using that money for me in my life, especially if I feel like I'm more valuable than an automobile.
And you're absolutely dead on right, because if you don't feel good about yourself, you're going to make decisions or spot decisions or to go shopping because it makes you feel better.
Yes.
Or
right.
Getting that thing because it makes you feel better. Mm-hmm. and then after a while you get tired of it, and then you sell it for half of what you bought it for because you want to get rid of it. It's insidious how it works. Now I did want to mention before we go, because I think you're going to leave a little bit early, and but I wanted to make sure that we talk to you about how to find a good financial planner, a good certified financial planner.
Let's talk about that over the break. That'll be fine.
Okay, then we will take our break right now, a little early, and we will be right back after this. You're listening to Positive Talk. Rick Salmeron, a certified financial planner, is our guest, and we will be right back right after this quick 30-second commercial.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
'Keeper? Keeper? 'Keeper? 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 'Keeper?
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Rick Salmeron is our guest today, and he's a certified financial planner. And okay, I have determined for me and for everybody that I know that it is a good investment. It is a necessary investment. It's important because none of us has got the time or the expertise to know what you know. And so, but finding a good one can be a bit of a challenge. How do you do it?
For those who want to seek out a financial advisor, and it's not required in life, you can certainly decide to press pause on life and become a money expert. That's completely fine, but I think that your time may be better spent. How do you find one? It's an exploratory exercise. It's not, I'm going to date myself. It's not something that you just flip the yellow pages and point and throw a dart at a dartboard. Although that's one way to do it, but I'd recommend other ways, such as
By the way, but while you're there, I just want to mention the Yellow Pages was a book that they used to send to everybody's house, and then you looked in that to find the phone numbers. They don't even think they exist anymore. Anyway, Rick, go ahead.
No, they don't. That's Google search these days, but that's one way is Google search. Another way would be ask around. Who are the people that you are maybe hanging out with, or at least that you admire, that appear to be successful, and are they working with someone? Well, so who that might be. That's one way to at least get an idea of a name. Or, and this is, I feel like, is important, a chemistry. You want to find a chemistry with an advisor that works with you. Because frankly, an advisor should not be, in my view, a transactional relationship where you only see them for a short period of time and then that's it. It should be something that's ongoing, because you're really considering someone who's not a family member, but a personal or perhaps even a business partner that you feel not just good, but really great at going back to from time to time, and the interactions with that person that you actually look forward to it versus resist. Wouldn't that be nice to have that kind of relationship, right? So you want to find a good chemistry. Is it very important that they have a bunch of letters next to their name? Like I've got letters next to my name. Yeah, that can be one way to stand out, but it's not necessary. There's plenty of great advisors out there without the letters, but the letters at least do demonstrate that that person's wanting to put a stake in the ground, that's a level of commitment, right? Than just someone just walking off the street. Another area that I would look at is social media. Check out their social media channels. What's going on in their life? If anything, and this may not be important for people, and maybe that's a chemistry thing for the people who don't really care about social media. That's completely fine, but really social media is these days today's websites. Sure, you can check out their websites, but social media is set up for getting an idea of the heartbeat of the advisor. Are they themselves growing? Are they doing great things in their professional as well as their personal life? Because again, this is a relationship that you should be seeking out. And wouldn't you want a very high quality person who's got great momentum going in their own life, right, as your financial advisor? You want to be feeling proud about the person that you work with. And how can you find out if that person can give you those great high vibes? Check out what's happening with them. And that's one way to do that too. So it's really a combination of many things, but high level, you're looking for a relationship with someone. Yes, he or she needs to know what they're talking about. They have to be experts. That's why you're bringing them in. You don't want to be an expert. You want someone else to handle those details. But that person should also have a personality, because you want to enjoy spending time with that person.
Well, exactly. And well, it's like hiring a really good employee who's going to do something that you don't know very much about. Now, you could take the time to learn all about what that is at some sacrifice of the other stuff that you're doing, but you're much better off hiring an expert to handle something like that so that you can have peace of mind and sleep well at night, knowing that you're not going to get a phone call the next morning that's like, by the way, I just want to tell you you're broke.
Yeah, and there will be times, especially if you're investing long term with this advisor, there will be times where you're going to feel nervous and you're going to feel anxious and you're going to freak out because recession is coming, or whatever news headlines that we might read that will spark, because every news headline is meant to scare you. That's what they're in the business for. God bless them, but that's what they're in the business for. So when those emotions rise up, and they always will, you need a person, or I feel like a person and not a robot, but a person that you can have a human connection with to relieve and release that, and have someone say, look, it's okay. I totally get you're feeling this way. It's completely normal. Let's just take that feeling, and now that you've got it out of your system, just put it aside and let's just carry on with life, because everything will be okay. That kind of assurance is very meaningful in a financial advisory relationship.
Yeah, I have a relative that they have a financial planner because they don't understand, and they'll never understand where to put. You should it be in here? Should it be in there? Should it be S&P? Should it be what percentage of what, and all that kind of stuff. And I ask him, so what does he say to you? She says, no, nothing. He just gives us our, we need $1,500 a month to live, and so he gives us that every month, and then he takes care of everything else, and for them that works because they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to worry about it. So when the stock market goes down a little bit, then they call them and say, relax, we're in this for the long term or whatever. So it's important. And and also when you go into the retirement years, which is a whole different program.
Yeah, it is. It is. So you want someone who can be versatile enough to recognize the stages that you are in life. Okay. And that's also very important. Do I know absolutely everything? No, I don't. That gives me hunger to continue to learn. And if I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm doing my clients a disservice, that I'm not becoming a better advisor to them if I'm not always looking out how I can be a better advisor to them, how I can be a better business owner, how can I be a better person to them. So when you're seeking out a human connection, a relationship with someone, you want someone who is looking to better themselves as well.
And you can work with anybody anywhere, right?
Yeah, anywhere in the United States. Anywhere in the United States. Now, I'm careful about the relationships, the new relationships that I take on, because the large, big firms, God bless them, I'm sure they will take just about anyone that calls them and is looking to open an account here and there, and that's fine. That's not how I roll. I have my theater, and it's got a few available seats, but if there's the right match, then yes, I will still work with new clients if it's the right fit for both of us.
And if you go to SalmeronFinancial.com, you can go to his website and find out all about him, and you can contact him. And he's got referrals and a list of services and all that kind of good stuff. But more importantly, working with somebody like a certified financial, it's a feeling. I feel good. I feel good about him. I really think that he's got my best interest at heart, and he understands me where I'm coming from, and those things are invaluable relationship skills.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot. That's what you're looking for. Couldn't have said it better.
Yes, and you can do it, but provided that there's a room for you in his theater, you can go do that. So we're running out of time, young man, and thank you for staying for the whole show. I hope you found it worthwhile, and but I would love for you to tell our audience anything that you'd like them to know. And by the way, what's the stock market going to do this week?
I will know that answer at the end of the week. Ask me then.
Bump. That's the only way because I've been following it a little bit more since my inheritance, and The stock market will go up for the oddest reasons and go down for the weirdest reasons. And nobody seems to have a clear understanding of why it went up or why it went down. It's kind of like herd mentality. It's like everybody starts running towards the cliff and they just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's got its own behavior, its own pattern of behavior that no one will be able to figure out short term at all.
That's not very encouraging, Rick.
The way it works. It's the way it works.
I know it would be awesome to be able to say, yeah, don't worry, I got this. You're gonna have 12% a year for the rest of your. The only company that I know that ever promised that went out of business and cost a bunch of people a bunch of money.
Yeah. Red flag.
So go ahead and anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this episode up?
It is a very confusing money world out there. You can attempt to tackle it on your own, and more power to if you can. If you feel like you would be living a better life with some guidance, find a good advisor that you can work with and that you connect with, and see what happens. See what happens.
That's all you can do. But I would highly recommend you, sir. I've enjoyed this conversation. I hope you have too.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that, young man.
Oh, young man, is it? Wow, you must want me to invest with you because I'm older than you are. I'll bet.
That's why I say young man.
Very nice. Very nice. Rick Salmeron has been our guest, and go visit his website again, which is Salmeron, which is SALMERON financial.com. And if he's got a spot for you in his theater, I highly recommend that you lobby to get into his theater, because I think that he would be very helpful for you. And again, young man, it's been my pleasure to have you here. I really have enjoyed this conversation. I don't get to do financial stuff much, and because I've been poor most of my life and stuff, which might never mind. Anyway, so thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure too, Kevin.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.